Hello everyone, welcome to Fubl Does Things, Fubl Games. Today I'm gonna not do anything gaming related, it's gonna be my third hobby. If you look behind me, you will see a bunch of shoe boxes. Yeah. Yeah. I am a former kind of sneakerhead, and I have, oh, give or take 100 shoes. So today, or I guess late last night, news came out. There's been a lawsuit between a major reseller company, or not reseller, but authenticator slash marketplace, and Nike. Most of it has to do with NFTs. So last night, Nike was like, "Oh yeah, we bought fake shoes from them." They said 4 pairs over 2 months. Most of the articles don't go into how many pairs of shoes Nike bought for them to find 4 fakes, but that's where journalism's gone. So I feel like this is my personal feelings on this, and I'll show you. I'm kind of against both. I've sold on StockX. I've bought 1 pair. I bought a couple other things. I bought a couple Lego sets, and you know it makes it easy. One of the problems was, you know, one of the big things I'll get into is mostly what needs to be done, and then we'll go from there. And I'll show you why I don't think either of these companies are really, because they're both billion-dollar companies. StockX is funded by billionaires, but nobody talks about it. And then Nike, of course, is a multi-billion-dollar company. So this is basically billionaires versus billionaires, and really we're just a little people in the middle of it, and we're just all getting screwed. So, first up, it's about NFTs. I would really care less about NFTs. You know, Currently, if you're paying attention, stock market's down, crypto's down, so NFTs should have no value at all. Um, but that's not here or there. Let's talk about them saying about fakes. First off, um, until companies like StockX and Goat came out, there wasn't an authentication process. Really, you had to take somebody's word that it was real, uh, think that they knew what they were talking about. I'm sure you've seen other YouTube videos where people are talking about other authentication for other collectibles, um, and then finding out they got scammed. I want to say, I bet you there's probably, my biggest problem is Nike does not produce enough for demand. They are kind of in their own ideas of being either a boutique brand or a mass brand. Um, the problem is, it's done is really tick off us, the customers. The problem with that is they want to create a scarcity of product that creates an artificial demand, so more people go out and buy the product. So let's, people have said that last week's Mambasita 16s, Kobe 6s, there was about 100K pairs total. I'm a big Kobe fan for the shoes because, unlike a lot of them, I put them on comfortable. Jordan's hit and miss. LeBron's have a weird, funky toe box. Um, Kyrie's I fell off early because they had the midfoot was like really tight on the early Kyrie's, like got like that big on some of them. It was like I'd have to go up to like a size 14. My foot's wide all the way through, so it's not a good fit. Um, the whole thing is, you know, Nike puts out basically a hit piece. It's basically they said, "Oh, we bought the fakes, and now we're going to um, comes down to Nike, honestly, because it's going to come into discovery when it goes to the court case, because Nike's going to have to say, how many pairs did they buy? What pairs did they buy? How did they determine they were fakes? I feel like this is just going to get dropped, but because it's hit and it's in popular opinion, nobody's going to follow the case because nobody has time for that. And we're going to see it just be dropped right as they go into discovery, be like, oh yeah, no, yeah. So, other things I've seen is people posting memes about, or videos of delivery drivers throwing StockX boxes and stuff like that. I'll get into that. It's just really weird time, and this is something I'm really actually passionate about, that I actually ended up tweeting like 20, 25 times today about it, and it's just like, I'm usually like maybe a tweet a day, maybe two, nothing major. But as you can see, I'm actually really excited about this. But yeah, I mean, StockX really came around from a site called Campless. The person who created Campless and um, Mr. Gilbert, the owner of the Cavaliers, basically created StockX. So, the guy from Quicken Loans, they make quite a bit of money off the processing fees. How I would really say that StockX is screwed up is they expanded too quickly. If you've ever been to a franchise restaurant that's really expanded really quickly, you'll notice that, say you saw it when it was like 5 locations and now it's like 25 locations, the quality is not across the board the same. So that's where I'm going to say, and then of course somebody's going to be like, oh yeah, I'll work at StockX. I'm going to scam some people. That also happens. It's just, people are going to do what they have to do to get ahead. I'm not going to say that they're bad people, but yeah, nothing much we can do there. But yeah, so basically, it's inventory levels from Nike have been crap for years. I can tell you my local area. If you were to actually try and go to the the foot stores, the DMs for Foot Locker and all them, basically for the longest time it was 1 or 2 stores would eat, all the other stores, yeah, you got the scraps, whatever. When the House of Hoops concept came out to Foot Lockers, I think 6 of the local stores, maybe even more, were turned into House of Hoops. It actually pushed more of the inventory around, so there was more availability. Now that the House of Hoops concept is pretty much dead, it's probably been dead for about 5 years now. You go into the local one and there's 1 pair of shoes in the entire House of Hoops section. So, yeah, that's not good luck. And this isn't a major metropolitan area, so that's not a good look at all. So Nike's, started cutting out, there's not their secondary vendors. So local shoe stores, major brands, they've started cutting out, DHW or, all of them. And it's just, they want you to buy from them. And that $30 pair of shoes, they're going to reap all the profits, and cut everybody else out. So what do we do? Meetups started getting dangerous. Where do you go? Where do you, where aren't you going to get jumped? You're taking $1,000 pair of sneakers in some cases, and that, yeah. Or he cuts and runs, she's, or her, So it's we do kind of need these middlemen. I know some people will say the fees are too high and all that stuff. Like I said, I've used them. I think I've sold like 20, 25 pairs on StockX, and like I said, I bought one pair, and it was only a pair that I personally, for me, I don't pay resale. This one pair I had to have. It was the LeBron 9 All Star games that they re released this year. Because I missed out on the first time. I forget what pack that was. Oh, it was the Galaxy pack. Ugh. I just got back into sneakers after being out of it for about 15 years. Grew up with sneakers, got out, didn't have the money. Big one, and then now back in, and now kind of tapered off again. This year was probably the first year I actually purchased quite a few. But I want to talk about another thing. Nike, I talked about their inventory, but what about their quality? You can probably find plenty of videos from the time I came back into the sneakerhead culture till now. And yes, I'm wearing a Nike shirt. Don't sue me. Yeah. But I mean, quality's gone downhill. Um, I'm a big, I'm a weird Jordan fan because I don't like 11s, but I love 10s. And some of the 10s that they've released in the last 12 years have looked horrible because there's paint, or not paint, but glue stains on the extra midsoles. If you know what you're looking for, there is issues with the quality. About 5 years ago, Nike decided, oh, we're going to sell everything at a lot of the releases at 220, be more premium, say they're more premium, and in some ways they were not. They were actually either missing features from the previous generations of the shoes, or they were the same quality, just sold at a higher price point. Yeah, it's been dark times. But the problem is, we all kind of just line up, get our pairs, go home, still fork over the money. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, we took our L for sneakers this week. Let's go." Yeah, I mean, um, I haven't really tried for me. I kind of fell out of the Jordan thing. I mean, we're talking about 25-year-old tech and shoes, 30-year-old tech and shoes, and they're just not comfortable to me with my feet. So I like big, comfortable shoes. That's why I kind of generate towards LeBron's, even though I don't like him really as a person. But they are like wearing sofas on your feet. But, people, here's one case. I am looking for it. One of my Jordan 20s. I've only worn these probably once, maybe twice. There is a physical defect in the front leather toe. But since these were so rare, I was like, screw it. And I just dealt with it. I might have gotten a $20, gift card or something out of it and bought something else, but where is it? I know it was on this pair somewhere. It is probably this one. And it might be actually pretty hard to video. You can see it. It is actually, it looks like it's been heated up and stretched. And I got this pair from Nike directly. It was a sneakers win. Back when these were on sneakers. What year was this? 2018? 20, it doesn't say. I will say 2018. But yeah, um, I just wanted to have a pair of 20s in my collection, and when I got them, I was like, oh, that's kind of unfortunate. It's not smooth. It's pretty kind of rough. At least on the other one, it actually looks smooth-ish um, versus stretched. So, never had them authenticated, because I got them straight from Nike, and I can probably produce a, you know, wonderful thing saying, "Hey, these came straight from Nike." But that, what are you gonna do? So quality's always been kind of an issue since I've been back in the sneaker gang game, and that's just how it is. I feel like the repos or actually have stepped up their game. It used to be you'd see the Gumbies or the look like fluffy Jumpmen on shoes, and you knew the obvious fakes. I think you're getting to the point where the fakes are getting to be same materials, almost same molds. What you're missing out, it's gonna be if you put something that barely made the cut from Nike in one of these grade A fakes. I bet 8 out of 10 people couldn't tell the difference. And I think that's just where we're at in the sneaker game. In the entire collectibles world, we are at this point. We've had these agencies that develop grading, things like that, and come to find out some of the stuff isn't real. I wouldn't be surprised if in the collectible market across the whole thing, 15% of the stuff isn't fake. Even the graded stuff, even the sealed stuff, it's just impossible to say. Um, you saw videos of Jake Paul and Pokemon cards, and that might have been a stunt, but you know what I'm saying. Because there's no transparency in the authentication process, I think StockX, Goat, whoever, eBay got into it late. It should be if you certify a car, there's like a 300-point checklist, and then you explain what's going on and why the car fails or passes that section of the checklist, or it's just a checkbox. But still, I think if they did a 25 to 30-point inspection with photos comparing maybe the same shoe, or say you had one Jordan 1 and another Jordan 1 that were pretty close in material composites, and then go on, I think that would be one of the best fixes. Everybody talks about, Nike needs to produce more. Well, they did. I forget what year, it was between 15 and 18, somewhere in there. They actually did produce more shoes. Then they stopped publishing the numbers that they produced, because what happened is they produced the worst colorways, the worst shoes that nobody wanted, and everything sat. So then what Nike said was pretty much nobody wanted it. If Nike produced 11s every month of the year, people would stand in line 11 months out of the year. But when you put in something that nobody wants, like Nike basketball went through a nice series. They had colorful shoes, but then they started just going way out there, and they just didn't look good. And then they went way out there, and nobody bought them. And that's when they started saying, "Oh, we're producing more." And they sat, and they sat. Then they went to outlet, and then they sat some more. And you probably could still find a couple of these pairs on outlet shelves somewhere. Um, but that is where we're at. I think this is just going to be one of those things where Nike, StockX, this is to win public opinion, turning some, not using facts, just using the thread of facts. I did like StockX's response, which was basically, we got a list of addresses and names that match up to some of your board members that have been selling stuff on stock. You really want to go this way? And I say, shame them. Just shame them, because we already know that one person got caught last year. Uh, One of their VPs, son, was going into was an FNN was basically an FNF, and basically, was reselling 200K a month according to articles. If other people are doing it, and then it leaves the question of, why is Nike buying off the reseller market? Are they actually pushing the reseller market up to create even more demand for their product, so people would go out and buy it? It's a big question. And this is just like them really just turning the nuts and bolts on us, the consumers, and being like, okay, if I push up the use, we produce more of that same colorway, we make we're gonna make bank. And nobody's gonna look at it like that and be like, what are we gonna do? We really are us as a consumer, since we have less options now than we did 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I could go stand in line and probably get what I wanted. For the most part, there are still things that we certain places got. LA, New York will always eat versus other places. But I don't know. I honestly think, like I said, we're in the ballpark of billionaires versus billionaires, and this is going to do nothing for us. And all it's going to do is have us cheerleading for companies that really don't need us cheerleading for them, and really should be respecting us, because they wouldn't be making money if it wasn't for us. And I think it's going to get dirty. I think it's going to get nasty. And I think what's going to end up happening is they're going to not backtrack it, but take it. They basically put into the case for the NFT thing, and they're going to take it out before they have to go to discovery, because then they're going to have to reveal a lot of stuff that StockX, if they're smart, would be asking questions about, like, how many pairs did you buy? Yeah. How did you determine they were fake? How did you determine this? How did you determine that? All right. And what are you going to do about your own executives reselling your own product and making bank? Which isn't against Nike policy, but they still let the one person go for it. So, yeah. All right. If you like the content, let me know in the comments. Please hit the follow and subscribe button. I greatly appreciate the support the channel gets. As I said, it's a weird video. I jumped all over the place, but I kind of tried to cover the basics and how I feel about this whole thing. Like I said, there's no winners here. We're screwed no matter what. I just want a safe way to sell. If I need to, like, the only time I sold was actually I needed money. And you know what? I made some, I lost some. I didn't care. I just needed money. So I turned something I had that was unworn into money. And I can tell you that all my pairs came from Foot Locker, Nike. Maybe Champs, or, if somebody, yeah. I was there on release day. It's standing in line. Until about the time I actually stopped buying sneakers, I wasn't asking the management to hold me pairs. They see me in line, they'd be like, okay, I know what you need. Let's go. I was, it was just what it was. And that's where we're at. And hopefully, maybe this will lead to a better marketplace, but I doubt it, since, like I said, Nike seems to be cutting the other retail channels out. Like I said, Foot Lockers around here that I've been to lately, they used to be decent Foot Lockers, have nothing. And then just everything else, sneakers, the draws. I like the idea when the draw originally came out was you had this much minutes, and then we were randomly select, even though there was no real, at the end there was no real transparency. Like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. I usually found out when I get the text message that they charged my credit card before I got the win or lose. Um, that's how I got my Mamba C to 16. Uh, you know, Basically, I was like, everything was freezing up. I was on my iPad, iPhone, it was just clicking, clicking, clicking. I was like, go through. Next thing I know, text message. Like, so, yeah, Nike needs quality, needs to figure out their systems. People say bots and stuff. Uh, who knows? I think there, I think there is a timer that some people can get in earlier because I've seen stuff sell out before 10 o'clock, and that shouldn't happen. um, so I don't know how. And of course, like people say, bots, 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 bots. Yeah, but it is what it is. We've been dealing with it for a decade plus, um, and it's not going to go away until somebody actually puts their foot down. But bots, bots, bots means scarcity, means people still demand, which means that we need a reseller market, which means, yeah, we're stuck in this never ending cycle of consumer apprehension, consumer being scammed, consumers just being played for no reason. All right, everyone. Like I said, if you enjoy the content, please hit a like, subscribe. I mostly do video games, but I had to talk about this. So, all right.